Coming up on today's episode of Airborne Unlimited, aviation associations react to BasicMed announcement. U.S. Supreme Court declines to hear Flytenow case. Civil Air Patrol technology proves valuable. Hello, I'm Christopher Seom. It's January 12, 2017, and this is Airborne Unlimited. Reaction has started to come in about BasicMed, the long-awaited third-class medical reform released by the FAA on Tuesday morning. Years of effort by EAA and AOPA culminated as the FAA announced regulations that will implement the aeromedical reform law passed through Congress last July. The new regulations will take effect May 1, 2017. Jack J. Pelton, EAA CEO and chairman, said in part, "This is the moment we've been waiting for, as the provisions of aeromedical reform become something that pilots can now use. We now have the text and will work to educate members, pilots, and physicians about the specifics in the regulation." AOPA President and CEO Mark Baker said about the recent rule release, "BasicMed is the best thing to happen to general aviation in decades. By putting medical decisions in the hands of pilots and their doctors, instead of the FAA, these reforms will improve safety while reducing burdensome and ineffective bureaucracy that has thwarted participation in general aviation." The NBAA also welcomed the release of the new rule. NBAA President and CEO Ed Boland said, "The implementation of the rule will allow the FAA to put scarce agency resources to higher risk oversight activities while remaining focused on the safety of flight." The U.S. Supreme Court has declined to hear an appeal of a case brought by Flytenow against the FAA. Flytenow is a startup business that sought to use the internet to connect private pilots with passengers wishing to share flight expenses. The Supreme Court's decision not to hear the case essentially kills the business in its current form. The idea behind Flytenow was to build on sharing economy services that companies like Uber and Airbnb have popularized. Flytenow proposed the websites or mobile applications could be used that allow consumers to connect directly with a non-commercial private pilot to share the cost of a flight. The FAA held that this made the private pilot a common carrier, which would require compliance with commercial operator regulations. The FAA had expressed concern about the safety of passengers flying with pilots that did not have to meet any commercial regulation requirements. The Flytenow concept is basically dead in the water, but this is probably not the last time we will hear about this ride-sharing concept. After the break, CAP technology saves time, which saves lives.
Explore no-limits flying in the FAA-certified Sea Ray Amphibious LSA, one of the top 3 best-selling LSAs in the U.S. Progressive Aerodyne Sea Ray comes equipped with a Rotax engine and exhibits extraordinary handling on land, water, and in the air. Check it out at www.searay.com.
Since the early days of powered flight, pilots have struggled with landing in crosswinds. In fact, crosswinds and wind gusts cause more landing accidents than fog, thunderstorms, and icing combined. That's where the Redbird X-Wind SE comes in. By placing pilots in gusty crosswind conditions for extended periods of time, the X-Wind SE gives instructors all the time they need to teach the pilot the proper techniques for landing in crosswind conditions. For more information on Redbird X-Wind SE and Redbird's entire line of flight training devices, visit www.redbirdflightsimulation.com.
Build and fly with the most exciting line of kit aircraft on the market, the Sonex Aircraft B models. The B models offer more room and comfort, more fuel, more panel space, more engine choices, and the same great Sonex Aircraft flight characteristics. Learn more at sonexaircraft.com.
Welcome back. If you have a story suggestion for Airborne Unlimited, Aero-TV, our website, or podcast, just email to news-spy@aero-news.net. Last week, the Civil Air Patrol's National Radar Analysis Team guided searchers to a Colorado Springs couple and their down plane in sub-zero temperatures in a remote area about 32 miles east of Meeker, Colorado. The pilot and passenger were safely recovered with only minor injuries. Lieutenant Colonel Mark Young, incident commander for the mission, as well as Assistant Director of Operations for the Colorado Wing and a member of the CAP radar team, said the team was able to nail down the crash crash plane's location within 5 to 10 minutes. Young said it was an awesome team effort by Colorado and the National Radar Analysis Team with their quick work. NRAT's Google Earth files showed the radar track and where the airplane went down. It was emailed so everyone had a copy and could see three-dimensionally the path the aircraft took and what the terrain was like. The radar team has participated in 7 missions this year, successfully tracking its target each time. It's Thursday, which means that it's time for an Aero Community Update, highlighting news and information about the incredible people and organizations that populate the Airborne Partnership Initiative behind Airborne Unlimited. This week we're talking about our partners at the Academy of Model Aeronautics again, because ANN's Jim Campbell has just had the opportunity to meet with the AMA Executive Council while he attended the AMA Expo West in Ontario, California last week. Jim headed to California with our lead video guy, Nathan Cremasino, to see what was going on and to make plans for our future joint AMA drone airborne programming venture. Jim reported back to the ANN Headshed that it was a fantastic event that was well attended and it seemed to be full of one innovation after another. Based on what Jim described, all of us are looking forward to seeing what the excitement is all about in the upcoming aero-tv features from the event. And best of all, this year it doesn't all end with one AMA Expo on the West Coast. Next month, February 24th through 26th, the AMA Expo East takes place in Secaucus, New Jersey at the Meadowlands Exposition Center. There'll be more news coming from AMA as Jim tells us he will also be attending this event as well. Since 1939, AMA has been at the forefront of recreational aviation through aircraft modeling. Times have changed, but the importance of model aviation is even more exciting now than it was when AMA first started. Stay tuned. After these messages, CAF Redtail Squadron chooses new commander.
There's a difference between charting a steady course and pushing for the ceiling. And for nearly a century, Hartzell Propeller has been defining that difference. It's in our passion for engineering and research and our dedication to testing the limits of performance. We are built on honor. We are Hartzell Propeller.
The Bristol Light Sport aircraft is what you are looking for. The Bristol is wider than a Cirrus, faster than a Skyhawk, offers more storage than a Husky, and comes standard with Garmin avionics. So what are you waiting for? Visit Bristol.com to find out how you can get into a Bristol today.
With so much news coming out of the aviation industry, Laura Hudson is summarizing a few of those other great stories in a brief segment we call Around the Patch.
Thanks, Chris. The Commemorative Air Force Redtail Squadron, America's tribute to the Tuskegee Airmen, has announced that Doug Rozendaal will return to the helm as squadron leader. Rozendaal has played a pivotal role in the formation and success of the squadron and its mission. Changes to aircraft airport approaches procedures due to the implementation of NextGen has led to community concern at some airports. As a result, the FAA will terminate one specific approach flight path at the Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport. The general manager of the Gary Chicago International Airport is leaving after only 10 months on the job. It's reported that, according to an airport spokesman, Michael Zoncias has accepted a similar position in Florida and will be moving on. Flypro has introduced their new X-Jaguar, a racing drone customized for professional racing drone players. They also introduced their new XB, a hobbyist drone for entry-level users, which is about the same size as an iPhone 6s. The spacecraft, platform for a NASA Discovery mission to explore the metallic asteroid 16 Psyche, will be built by Space Systems Loral. The NASA Discovery Program goal is to deepen the knowledge of our solar system by launching modest cost-cap missions on a routine cadence. Well, that's it for today's trip around the patch. Back to Chris for the rest of the news.
Thanks, Laura. FlyersRights.org called for the TSA and Congress to provide for stronger airport security after a shooting attack at LAX Airport in 2013, and again in July 2016 after the Brussels and Istanbul airport massacres, But according to the organization, nothing was done. They point to the recent Fort Lauderdale airport massacres as an example that air transportation continues to be a prime target for terrorism and mass murder. The organization says emergency measures must be imposed to prevent more lives from being lost. They are calling for measures that would include calling out the National Guard for temporary armed airport security, installing airport perimeter security to detect weapons and explosives on persons entering major airports, banning the carrying of live ammunition and checked baggage, and increasing canine patrols to detect explosives. Paul Hudson, the president of FlyersRights.org, said those victims at Fort Lauderdale should not have died, and should certainly not have died in vain. Blood on the ground is unfortunately too often for the price for government officials to act. Well, that's our program for today. Remember that Airborne Unlimited is streamed daily, Monday through Friday, with additional breaking news bulletins for important stories that fall outside of our normal deadlines. If you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe. And do check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Get comprehensive real-time 24/7 coverage of the latest aviation and aerospace stories anytime at aero-news.net. Keep flying. We'll see you tomorrow.